Hi, this is Miriam Mortel, author of the book Lessons in Law of Attraction. So today I want to cover some basics, and one of the main things that I want to cover is what's known as the vibrational scale, or what some other people may refer to as the map of consciousness. So in my book, I discuss this idea that, ants, right, how they communicate with each other. And somehow we accept that it's okay for ants to connect through their antennae, right? Their antennas are always broadcasting something to each other. Yet when humans broadcast, the idea of humans broadcasting anything to one another, whether you want to call it telepathy, vibration, whatever it may be, somehow that's looked at as really weird, uncomfortable, and people tend to say, no, that's not the case. So every person is always emitting a vibration, an energy, so an energetic output. It's like we are putting out a signal, right? So think like, radio has a frequency, so every person has a frequency. We know what frequency we're on by the type of thoughts that we're thinking and the kinds of emotions that we're feeling. So we'll think certain thoughts, consciously or unconsciously, and we'll start to feel that in our energy, and we'll feel either positive or negative. So the basic classifications, you can call them, like I said, positive or negative, love or fear, satisfaction, dissatisfaction, gratitude, ingratitude. You're getting the point. And the goal is, of course, always to be somewhere in the positive realm. So a person may have a general vibration, general energy, and they're also going to have an energy towards a specific, it could be a life circumstance, certain category of life, right? So let's say money, health, relationships, the people you're around, whatever it may be. And we know how we're truly feeling about it based off what manifests. So the whole idea of manifestation, there's basically, well, let me backtrack one second. There's a lot of information on the internet that says things like, oh, you just have to close your eyes and visualize what you want and feel the feeling. Do that for like 10, 15 minutes a day. That doesn't really work. It might work in the short term. But if you fail to clear your true vibration, your true energy towards the subject matter, you're going to continue getting more of the same. It might get a little better because you've made some space in your day to think positively. So I'm not saying it doesn't work at all. But you're not going to truly get the results that you want until you truly change your energy towards a subject matter, and that requires some inner work. So I'm of the belief that law of attraction is really a self-help guide as opposed to, some other weird woo-woo thing on the internet that says, oh, here's how you get this thing and this thing. It's that God always wants to give us good, and if we're ever not receiving it, it's because of literally an energy we're putting out, right? It's like holding an umbrella up when there's sunshine, kind of a thing, right? And so we always want to do what we can to let the blessings in. So what keeps the blessings out is what's known as resistance. I talk about that in my book as well, right? And so the goal is to decrease resistance. The thing is, and this is going actually in my next book, is that you can't fight your way out of a negative. You have to go into a positive. Which means if you fight against an old circumstance, you're basically just potentially making it bigger because you're giving more energy to it. So just a refresher, whatever we put our energy on, we get more of. What we focus on expands. It's like, think about you're planting seeds, right? Do you want to plant the seeds of the positive? Do you want to water the seeds of the positive thing or water the seeds of the negative thing? So you have to be really, really careful which seeds you're watering. And you want to gain as much positive momentum. Abraham Hicks uses that word a lot, momentum. I've mixed feelings about Abraham Hicks, but that part's something really good that I like to utilize, right? I like to think of it now like it's like a snowball, right? So you want to have that positive accumulation of positive thoughts, right? But in order to do that, you also need to become aware of your negative thoughts. In other words, you have to figure out where you are before you can figure out where you want to be. So when we talk about where you are in the scale of the map of consciousness, the vibrational scale, whatever you want to call it, as I said, you know based off the emotions that you feel in general and towards that subject matter. I can't tell you how many times I felt pretty great overall. I'm like, why didn't this manifest? Like, why didn't this happen? There's actually other good things. Why did this thing happen? It's because my energy on that specific topic was still in a negative place, right? It's like you can have a great day, but every time if you think about money, if you feel like despair, ooh, that's not going to help bring the money in, right? So it's about learning to first be honest with yourself. And the reason I stress being honest with yourself, and I've said this in my previous recordings, is there are a lot of people who say that they're positive and they're really not. Okay? A person who's really positive is actually smiling, feeling good. They're not sitting there with a pin in their stomach. Like if you're feeling, it's like, I literally know people who've dealt with, and I've myself dealt with this, so I'm not excluding myself from this. Physical issues, usually like you feel in the stomach, that like, that tense, that almost like, when you have like IBS, right? Because your stomach's kind of in knots, you're feeling all upset. Like, your body's telling you how you feel, okay? Your body's an indicator as well as your mind. And in case you weren't getting the hit from everything else, your body's like, hey, let me help you figure this out. You're actually nervous about something, right? And your body's cluing you in. But there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm positive about this. I always feel positive about, like, I always say something nice. You can say something nice, but if you don't feel that in your heart, if you don't truly have that connection, if you don't feel a sense of relief about the subject matter, you are not thinking positively. And when you are finally honest with yourself about where you're at, and you may say, wow, that stinks. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that, and I said, that just stinks. I don't like that I'm in this place, but I acknowledge that this is how I feel towards it. But now that I'm here, I know I have up to go, right? So this is the importance, right? It's about knowing where you're at and then where you want to be. So if you think about almost like an hourglass, right? I personally like to envision it as an hourglass. Everything at the top part of the hourglass, positive. Everything at the bottom of the hourglass is negative. So at the bottom, you're going to have things like fear, grief, powerlessness. Above that, you're going to have things like worry, doubt, pessimism. You get the idea, right? So just general negative emotions. At the top, you're going to have things like hopefulness, right? When you're starting to just get above that point of middle of neutrality, right above that, you'd have something like hopefulness. And, that kind of leads up. And then, of course, and I encourage you guys to Google this so you can actually see it visually. And everyone has different ways of mapping this out, but you'll get a general idea. But the top of the scale is love, joy, excitement, all those positive things. And so we don't have to get to the very top. We actually just need to not be in the bottom. Does that make sense? But you can't fight your way from the bottom. You just have to acknowledge what thoughts and feelings brought those negative emotions and actively choose to say, hey, you know what? That's a stupid thought. I'm going to choose to no longer think of it this way. And even before you grab a positive thought to replace it with, just by the nature of putting down that negative thought of saying, hey, I don't need this anymore, you're going to naturally raise your vibration and things are going to happen. If you're anything like myself, you get stuck in the how do I's. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I know what's going to happen? How can I trust the process? How do I? Fear. That's what that is. Can't really get to where you are from where you want to be. And so it's often encouraged to work on manifesting little things to trust the process, right? So in other words, you may want to manifest something that you could care less about just to kind of see it working, right? So like I once had this thing where I was like manifesting feathers. I once manifested a free hoodie. I like hoodies. And literally, I kid you not, within, I think it was like either 24 or 48 hours, I think it was 24 hours, I remember saying, oh, I want a hoodie. And because I didn't have anything like blocking that thought, I had no resistance towards it, I kid you not, I got a free hoodie the next day. So it was like a shopping thing, basically. So actually, so I bought it, and then I bought one the next day. There was a promo code. It was almost free. It cost me like $5-6. And then they ended up, by accident, refunding me. And I called whatever, and they said, don't worry about it. And that was like, and then I ended up getting it for free within a few days of that. I just paused this because I don't know if anyone heard in the background, my cat was meowing. So, really loud. So, my point is that we can always, manifest things that are easy to us, right? But it's for the things that are really important to us, which are usually love, health, relationships. It's about taking small steps and changing your thoughts, and first seeing like, okay, this is a mirror. So I've mentioned previously, everything in our world is a mirror of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, right? So if we don't like something, we don't despair about it. We just say, okay, this is feedback. We thank God for the feedback and say, okay, this is something I want to work on. And we focus on feeling we focus on going towards where we want to be feeling wise. Sorry, I had to pause that again. My cat needed to be played with. She needs some attention. So what I was saying is that we're always manifesting. We're always getting a mirror. We can take it as feedback. And it's a matter of saying, okay, well, I keep manifesting this certain circumstance. What am I believing with regard to this, right? So let's say someone's having issues in their marriage. Well, how are you thinking about the person that you're married to? If you're thinking about, oh, he's so stubborn, he's so lazy, he never takes out the trash, he never does this, he never does that. Oh, she's always in a mood. She's always too busy for me. She's always whatever it is. Everyone has a story, right? So we're always and the story that we have in our head is emitting a certain vibration. The person is then feeling it unconsciously and then reacting to it. And guess what? You're getting more of it. Now, to be fair, you can get whatever you're emitting or better. So let's say you're in a really, really bad mood, okay? That doesn't mean you're going to make everyone around you be not nice to you. But it means you're at the mercy of whatever mood they're in, right? So if someone's in a positive mood, they can still react to you positively, right? But if someone's in a so-so mood and whatever, then you could accidentally be summoning some things you don't want, right? So you have to kind of be careful with that. Whereas if you're in a positive mood, even if you have people around you that are in all different moods, you're going to draw the right thing into yourself. So think about it this way. You can always be in whatever energy, you can always attract whatever energy you're in or better, right? So when it comes from other people. Now, with regard to circumstances, you're going to get whatever you're emitting, typically. I mean, sometimes you can get things better, but the better thing that comes along usually waits till technically you're in a better energy. In other words, you can have all these terrible thoughts. Oh, money doesn't come easily to me and blah, blah, blah. And every time you think about money, you can be in despair. But just in a moment where you're not thinking something negatively, you can have a reprieve and money can come in. So that's not to say, oh, if you're in a bad place or don't have good thoughts about money, then what you want can't happen. It just means it's not going to happen usually in that moment that you're feeling really terrible. It's going to happen at the moment where there's a pause of that feeling terrible. But what I'm saying is with people, you can be getting that or better. With subject matters, you're getting whatever you're putting out. So I hope that was clear enough and makes sense. So the goal of this is just to create awareness to say, yes, whatever we put out is what we get. The thoughts that we think, more so, I'll say the tone of the thoughts that we think, whatever we're putting out, that's the channel that we're tuned into. So if you're tuned into life is wonderful, then everything in your life is going to show back life is wonderful, but you got to really mean it. And you'll know, because you cannot lie to yourself, right? So you'll know right away if you're really honest. If you really think life is wonderful, then wonderful things are going to start mirroring. If you say life's wonderful, but you feel like life's not so wonderful, you're going to get a mirror of how you really feel. So the more we can be honest about our emotions, the more easily we can move up that energetic scale and get to a better place. And that's also Why? I recommend journaling, because in journaling you become aware of your thoughts. Why I recommend working with a therapist that you have the right kind of synergy with, because then you can start to change how you feel, and the more you change how you feel, the better things will happen. I mean, the more the better things will happen. So I hope this was helpful for me to share. You can find my book on Amazon. Again, the title of my book is Lessons in Law of Attraction. I'm also on Instagram at Miriam Wartel Official, and hope everyone's doing well. Take care.